Whoa. If you guys haven't read Chambers yet this morning, you're not going to like it. It's one of these that is profound, but not very comfortable. It's like when I was training for my marathon several years ago. It's the long days, it's the hard days where you like, okay, I'm strapping on my shoes, I'm getting out there, but I'm not going to like this, but I know it's good for me. And so Chambers is in 1 Corinthians 6:19, which says basically 1 Corinthians 6 basically tells us to think that you have ownership of your own body is blasphemy. If you are a follower of Christ, if you have received the gift of salvation through the redemptive work on the cross, through the suffering and death of the one innocent person in history, if you've received that, taken it as your own, your body is now the temple of the Holy Spirit, and you do not have rights to it. And that sounds harsh, and it sounds, like I said, uncomfortable. I do not have rights to my own body. And the truth is, as a Christian, you don't. You just don't. And I don't like that at all, because I like to think that I can make my own choices and do my own things. And this is right on the heels of talking about sexual morality too. So making making your body a temple, not desecrating it. There's a lot of obviously body is a temple. There's a lot of it's a word picture, and there's a lot of similarities in how we should treat our body with how they treated the temple in Jewish practices, the cleansing and the purging and the making sacrifices and things they did. But anyway, it says 6:19 says, "Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? You're not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your body." Chambers says there's no such thing as a private life. If I've invited God into my life through His Son, it's not private anymore. It's interesting what he says here. A world within the world, that private life, for a man or woman who's brought into fellowship with Jesus Christ's sufferings. Once you've been brought into fellowship with Jesus, your life is no longer private. I like what he says. God breaks up the private life of His saints and makes it a thoroughfare or a highway for the world on one hand, with the things He's going to send you into and how you're going to engage with the world. On the world on one hand, and for Himself on the other. So when we're not being used as an instrument for God's glory in the world, we are to be in fellowship with Him privately. So there's no time where we're by ourselves doing our own things. Chambers says, "Let Him have His way. If you do not, instead of being of the slightest use to God and His redemptive work in the world, you will be a hindrance and a clog." I like the expression clog. I just think about how frustrating it is when you are trying to drain something, or your shower, your bathtub, your sink, and all of a sudden you realize it's not going down, and it's just gross. Things back up and turn weird colors, and you see stuff floating around in it, and you're like, oh, that's disgusting. And that's what Chambers is saying that we are, if we don't allow ourselves to be completely His possession. And then he's saying that we're supposed to get to the point until we do not care what becomes of us individually, as long as He gets His way for the purpose of His redemption. That's a really tough, this is a hard bridge to cross. Many people never really get there, are never really useful to God. And I would say, were they ever really saved? And I know that's harsh, and that sounds a little bit judgmental, but I would say, if we are to identify ourselves with Christ, we have to be useful. And if we are not useful, are we identified with Christ? If he can't make use of my body in the world and for His own glory, am I really identifying myself with Christ? Because that's the one characteristic of Christ that you see throughout. Here to do the will of the Father. When the Father said do it, He did it. Whether it was to His own detriment, His own suffering, His own exhaustion. doing the will of the Father. You look at the 40 days in the wilderness. You look at the, dealing with patiently dealing with the disciples and the crowds, and to his own detriment, always to his own detriment. And then, obviously, heading straight towards the cross and understanding what was coming. And so I think if that is our model, then why do I not more willingly run straight into things that I feel like he's calling me to, that are even, by the way, it's suffering, exhaustion, things like that. He talks about God. I mean, he actually talks about the pierced hands of. He comes with the grip of a pierced hand of his son. That Jesus, as he extends his hand, the one thing we have to notice as he extends his hand to us is the fact that it has nail scars. And it says, if through a broken heart God can bring his purposes to pass in the world, then thank him for breaking your heart. Not a very pleasant devotional today. So ask God where you are holding back and not allowing him to take ownership of your own body. Whew. You guys have an awesome day.